Today we're adding elastic binding, lining and stitching to a basic sports bra. It's Helen from Sportswear Chatter, and this basic top was made by tracing over a pattern I'd scanned in. There are many websites that have patterns for different garments, free or to buy, or you can develop your own. So we're going to start by adding elastic properties to the underbust bands. Go to the object browser and add a fabric. Now drag that into the two pattern pieces. Click back on the fabric and scroll down the property editor. Down to physical properties and click on the drop down menu and select elastic. This has pre-saved attributes which you can play around with, but today we're just going with what's there. Now we're going to zoom in and start adding binding to the neckline and armholes. One way is create a rectangle the length of your front neckline and the depth you want the binding to be. To do this, select rectangle, click on the 2D window and type in your measurements. Due to the steep curves around this neckline though, it's not going to work. We'll just get a wavy binding. You need a more curved pattern piece for this garment. So let's delete that and use another solution. Shortcut Z, highlight the neckline edge, right click and then highlight offset as internal line. You just need one offset. Type in the depth you want your binding to be and select OK. It appears on your pattern piece. Let's do the same on the back neckline. Select the neckline, right click and then in the pop-up menu select offset as internal line. Check the details are the same as the front and press OK. Now for each of your new internal lines, select them, right click and then select cut and sew. Now if we shortcut A and select all our new binding pieces and go back to the property editor, we can make it a bit more realistic. Scroll down to geometry and tick next to double-sided and also type in 2.5 to the thickness rendering box. Once again, you can play around with these figures and see what effect you can get. In the 3D window, we can zoom and see the binding. Next, we'll add binding to the armholes. We'll use a slightly different method. Shortcut Z, edit pattern, and then click on the front armhole edges. Then when we right click this time, choose the offset pattern outline option. So instead of creating an internal line inside the pattern outline, we're actually extending the pattern edges. In the pop-up, fill in distance, the depth you require, and I have selected default corner. I do have to reduce the outer edge length to stop it gaping further along, so I should probably have specified unfilled corner. Repeat this for the back as well. Click in your 2D window and right click. In that menu, select Unlock all baselines. We now need to convert the original line, which is shown as a dotted line, to be an internal line. So highlight this dotted line, right click and pick Convert to Internal Line. Do this on the back and the front, and then same as previously, right click and cut and sew. Next we follow the same step as before. Shortcut A, highlight all armhole binding, go to the property editor, scroll down to geometry and select double layered and add thickness 2.5. Due to the fact we've extended the armholes, We now need to sew them together. Select Segment Sew and go around all the seams and stitch the ends together. You may use the 2D and 3D windows to do this, depending which is easier to view, and select both edges. Remember all the seams, underarm, shoulder and the bust seam, and also on both sides. Once that is all done, shortcut A and spacebar to render in the 3D window. As I stated earlier, the binding is too long on the outside edge, so we just need to reduce that. Shortcut Z, highlight the outside edge, right click and select Change Length. Check it is being reduced on the side you want. You can see by where the arrow is positioned which end will be reduced. Either select Start or End in the drop-down menu. Sometimes, depending what pattern piece it is, you may select both and it halves what you're wanting to reduce the edge by and removes it from both ends. I'll make these changes on both sides of each armhole and then spacebar to render, and it makes the changes in the 3D window. Next we'll create a simple lining. Shortcut A, highlight the body only, as you only need one set of binding which would sandwich both layers, and one layer of elastic at the hem. Right click, copy, and then right click, paste. We choose just copy and paste as we don't want any links to the original pieces. Then shortcut Z and let's merge the front panels into one piece. Highlight each side, right click and select Merge. We will lose a little shaping over the bust. You could add this in the side seam by slashing and spreading, but we'll assume the stretch in the fabric will compensate here. Now we'll sew the lining to the outer. Select End Sewing under Free Sewing. Sew the front panel to the bottom of the outer. Then reposition in 3D window. Shortcut A, highlight lining, right click in the 3D window and select Superimpose Under. Pull out the outer pieces and check the lining is behind and everything is in order. Now repeat those steps for the back as well. Once it is all positioned correctly, we can sew the rest of the seams. So we select Segment Sewing and sew side seams and shoulders. I am sewing the front lining to the outer to anchor the pieces both to the front and to the back. Shortcut A and move into your 3D window and spacebar to render. Next we'll add a striped artwork to the underbust elastic band. I've already created the artwork in Adobe Illustrator using the same measurements as the underbust band. I have saved this as a PNG to keep file sizes down. In the Clo 3D 2D window, select the graphic button. This is a little t-shirt image with pixels on the front. Select your PNG file and then place on the chosen piece. Click and OK the pop-up box. Although you could amend the measurements here if needed. You can now see it on the avatar, just on the front piece. Let's repeat the same process for the back. Select the graphic button, click on the back under bust band and select OK. We're going to add some cover stitch into the seams as well. Select segment top stitch. This is the dashed line next to the solid line in the 2D window. In Property Editor, add another top stitch. Below that, select the open file symbol and select the stitching you want. We have the ISO 605. You can also scroll down and change the colour if you want. I've selected black so it will show up on the white. Select all the seams you want to add it to. Remember, you only need to add to the one side. Think about how it would be stitched and which layer would be on top and add it to that. For example, the binding rather than the body, as the binding will sandwich over the body. Although I have gone against that here, I have added it to the bottom seam of the body, not the elastic, due to the fact the elastic has a graphic on, so it can sometimes obscure the stitching. Down the side seam, if we apply it to the elastic, you can see it doesn't show up. Let's delete that and add an internal line. Select internal polygon line or shortcut G and apply a line in from the underbust band edge. You can apply the top stitching to the internal line, but when we render you can see it's still not showing up. So let's select Edit Top Stitching. This has the little arrowhead next to the stitching on the button. Highlight the stitching in the 2D window and go into Property Editor and amend the offset, Z offset. If I add 1.5 in this box and return, you can see it showing up in the 3D window. Finally, we can add cycle shorts to complete the outfit. I recommend to do this at the end, as it can slow your laptop down. Go up to File and select Add Project and select your file. OK, and the short appears. I'm just going to move the waistbands across the window so you can see all the pieces separately. This short was created from the panel legging that I've done a video on before. This outfit is available in Clo Connect. The link is below. Thanks for watching and do like and subscribe.